How's it going, guys and girls? This is Ketchup here once again, and once again I'm joined by a very special guest, ESL Top 16 finalist, Evo Top 16 as well, highest placing Ermac at Evo, EVB Big D.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Awesome. So once again, this is going to be patch changes. We're going to be focusing on Ermac. I really didn't want to get any other Ermac on board. I think Big D is really sort of the best one for this job in terms of just sort of running through what the tech is available. And that's it really from me. I'm going to let Big D take this as always. So what is Ermac? What's been changed and what can you do now?
All right, so a few things have been changed with Ermac. The one variation that has pretty much stayed true to its core was Master Soul, so we're not really going to be showing anything with that today. There is one brief change with Mystic that I do want to run over real quick. His EX Telechoke used to do only 6%. It did 6%. It did have armor to push him full range, but now it's been buffed up to 13%. So it leaves him with a little bit more of a viable option. Definitely worth the meter now more than ever, in my opinion. But as far as Mystic's concerned, the damage scaling is pretty much the same thing. He still gets about 37% meterless mid-screen, which I'll be able to go through most likely in another video, just because we are doing this online and it is a little bit difficult to get the timing down, so I'll most likely...
The eternal EU to North American online training mode.
But that's really it for Mystic. Spectral had Christmas in July. Spectral's been completely revamped. That's pretty much what this video is going to be showing. Pretty much start with the basic stuff, go into a little bit more in depth. I'll show pretty much the changes that have been made to Spectral and the different ways that you could use these changes. For those who do not know Spectral, his main ability for Spectral is his flight. So you can see me moving around. He has great speed when in the air. It's very different as compared to if someone's trying to walk towards me. I have all the speed in the world to be able to go around them. Now, when in flight, you had a few different options. You still had the option to use his teleport. And now he has 4 different aerial attacks. He has his 1, his 2, his 3, and his 4. These are all overheads, except for the standing 1. So if I go up, this is an overhead, that's an overhead, and that's an overhead. Now, pre-patch, these were all single attacks. You could do a single attack into his teleport which connected, and that could lead into a down 1 lift or what have you. Now, the difference with Spectral is it gives him much more combo potential, because now these all link. They all link into a combo. So right there, that's 24% if you manage to hit him in the air. Now, more than likely, you won't see many people hitting from this range, but the good thing about Ermac is that he has 2 strings that have enough hit advantage to where you can actually cancel into flight, move towards your opponent, and then do the chain link. And those 2 strings are his back 1-2, or his back XY, and his forward 2-1, or his forward Y X.
So those strings are hit confirmable into levitate.
Right. So if I sat here, and let's say if I'm playing footsies, and I decide to come in with a back 1-2, and I hit confirm it, and I'll be able to do that. Now, the issue is, and this will take a practice for a lot of you guys, if I decide to cancel my back 1-2 into the hover, I will not be able to hit you from here. Your opponent gets staggered a little bit towards sweep range, so it leaves you a little bit out of range. But the beauty of the back 1-2, and the reason why it works so well, is because it has enough hit advantage for you to be able to actually have time to move towards your opponent to continue the block string. So I actually messed that up. So right there, that actually all connected, which could lead into a full combo, leading to about 34% for 1 bar, which is not too shabby. A lot of characters do struggle to get that kind of damage, so this definitely works out more.
Especially when you're using it as like a punish, I suppose, if you're punishing somebody with it.
Absolutely, and not to mention, back 1-2, in my opinion, is one of his best strings because of the amount of ground that it covers. It's a great footsie tool, great space, and now it has much more combo potential. Now, a couple of things that I do want to mention. It is not the only string. Now, the other string that I mentioned was his normal 4-2-1. This string also has enough hit advantage, if I don't mess it up there. That also connects. Now, the hit advantage is a little bit different as far as the aerial combos go. So you might find yourself having to adjust to the timing. but it does hit confirm off of the forward 2-1 as well. As far as anything else that goes with Spectral, he still has his charge that he can do in the air, which has been buffed a little bit in damage. It used to do about 8%, I believe, and now it does around 11.
He can now meter bird it, if I'm correct. Can he now?
Actually, yeah, he can. It does have a hit of armor on it, both from his hover and on the ground, and it does 16%. So you could trade maybe with a fan from Katana or maybe a missile from Jax, and be able to trade and be able to get in. Because I firmly believe Spectral will end up being more of a rushdown variation towards the end. You know, it's still a little bit new. It's going to take some time to figure out the variation as a whole. But I do believe with all of his, he has an advancing armored special now. A little bit tough to punish, but still very much full combo punish in the right hands.
I suppose the fact that it does 16% also means that if you trade with it, it's pretty much always going to be in your favor, really, because it's 16% over whatever damage the projectile would have been.
Right. I think the projectile that comes closest to equaling the damage would probably be Jax's heavy weapons rocket. I think that does about 11%.
Well, I know it's quite tricky to do, but as far as I'm aware, you can also you can levitate into his 50-50s, if I'm not mistaken. Is it possible to kind of demonstrate the method of how you would do that to kind of make his mix-up game a little bit more prominent?
Actually, I can. Pretty much for those who don't know his 50-50s, his forward 4 or his forward B is an overhead, and his back A or back 3 is a low. Now, these can both be canceled into the hover, and to be able to do that. Now, the only issue with this is because there's not enough hit advantage on the back 3 to actually have the combo link. So it would pretty much mean a mix-up in itself if you didn't want to go for the full combo punished back 3-4 or the back 3-2, which on block is -10 and -13 respectively. His 4-4 can also be canceled, which is a little bit tricky to get the timing, but is definitely worth it if you can. But as I said, it does take a lot of time. Through practice, through offline, a little bit easier, speaking through myself. So, but definitely a lot of options to do. You can also stagger a lot of strings if you felt for going for a little bit of a different option. You could really get really creative, and I think that's why this is definitely going to be one of the most enjoyable variations to play, because you could get so creative and really mix up your opponent with a lot of options that you wouldn't normally have in Mystic or Master of Souls. As far as everything else goes, I do briefly just want to show corner combo. I think it's probably one of the coolest looking corner combos in the game.
Let me just reset us in the corner then. We'll go reset position left. Let's do this. Okay, we should be good now.
Now, for most people that play Master of Souls or even Mystic, normally his best corner combo would be something like this. You would end it with the standing 4 into the up blast, and you end it for that. So that's 36%. It does a lot of damage. In Master Souls, you could do after the 4 up blast, you could do 2-2 into a soul ball to leave him restanding for a vortex. But in Spectral, he heavily relies on his damage that he gets from his aerial combos, which could lead to some very interesting corner combos. The best one that I have found so far, it's a little tricky to do, but we'll see if I can get it here.
Oh, I see what you're trying to do there, though. Cancel into the levitate there.
Yeah, you
and
do a
get some
standing 4, and you cancel it into the Spectral hover. But I'm having a lot of trouble doing that right now.
Rip online training mode.
Oh my god. I'm sorry. Alright. So, pretty much what it is, I'll pretty much go through to explain it, and I'll make a video later on. I'll have Ketchup go ahead and link that as well.
Yeah, no worries. I totally understand what you're trying to do. So you go into the levitate, but obviously online it's going to be a little bit trickier to do the timing. But obviously muscle memory is muscle memory offline.
Right. And Taylor, I'll pretty much briefly describe it. It's his forward 2-1, down 2. Excuse me. And you would do a standing 4 into the hover. Now from here, your opponent will pretty much be around where my shoulders are. So you actually juggle him with standing 1s. You juggle him for about 5 standing 1s, and you do 1, 2, 3 into that, and it does about 44%. So even from here, if let's say you wanted to area your opponent, I'll just briefly show the damage scaling with his aerial attacks is very small. So he does a lot of damage if you happen to meet someone in the air like this. So I could sit here, if we're standing here right in the air, and I decide to hit him with a standing one, I could do this all day and then be able to finish it into that, which actually does 49%.
Wow. Is that meterless?
Meterless. Yeah, let me see if I
wow,
can get
brilliant. I'll try it.
Move up a little bit. Yeah, it's really, really weird. And then the back forward 2 didn't necessarily come out, but that does about 47 and 49%. So he's going to heavily rely on, yeah, it's actually very good. But as I said, it's going to take a lot of practice. The execution is very strange considering now for the normal Ermac player who never really needed to do hovers, let alone in combos, now heavily rely on that. So the hit advantage and the cancel advantage is going to be very difficult to get used to at first. But I do believe it's going to be worth it in the long run. And one thing that I do briefly want to mention, this is something that I actually did not mention to you yet. Let's go ahead and go back mid-screen.
Okay, cool. Let me change this. I mean, as far as he's also got a little bit of sort of, I'm not sure if you're going to go into it, but the block kind of situation where if you start blocking the overheads. Right. Let's go center. Here we go.
All right, so go ahead and block. For once you condition your opponent, you know, you could do a back 1, 2, 4, which is neutral on block. You can condition them with a 6-frame down 1 or whatever you would like. If you felt like trying to get a little risky or you felt like being a little bit more creative, you could add in these block strings, which are all overheads, and you could lead into his head slam, which is a low. So you could do 1 overhead into that, which all links. That's all one combo. Now, one weakness that this variation has, for those who do not know, you can armor through each aerial attack. So if I do this...
Oh, okay. So what would my armored reversal be in this variation so I can demonstrate? A teleport, maybe?
Being that you are Mystic, you could do a back forward 2, or you can do the EX down back 2, his Soul Blast. Those both have armor. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate. You can go ahead and armor after the first hit. So he gets hit out of that. Something I came across. Now, this would normally be variation breaking. I would say it's makes it rather difficult to continue pressure this way. But what I happened to notice, and this was not mentioned in the patch notes. Now, I don't know if you know this, Ketchup, but you might be a little intrigued by this. Go ahead and do the same thing. Oh. All right, so I'm pretty much gonna do the back 1, 2, and then just try to armor out. Now, what's hard to tell, maybe do the back 4, 2 just to see if it trades. All right, so it's a little bit too slow to tell, but in this variation, it is confirmed through hover, Ermac has armor on EX teleport, which he does not have in any other variation.
Oh, wow, brilliant.
Yeah. He has armor on his EX teleport and his EX Soul Blast only through this. So go ahead and armor. Oh, I mistimed it. Go ahead. I have armor on that.
And you don't normally get that in the other variations?
Not in Master Souls or Mystic. It is strictly exclusive to this variation only. Now, if you want to go a little bit more in depth, if you want to go back to character select screen, and let's say, what's a good character? A lot of people have been playing Katana, so we'll go ahead and pick Katana. I'll play Ermac and you can play just Royal Storm Katana. We're just going to test it out with her EXDP. And I will go ahead to Spectral. Now, normally, Katana's EXDP, it has, I believe, 3 or 4 actual hits, so it blows through a lot of armor, if timed right. But
yeah, it's a really strong armor breaker, the down back too.
Right, and one of the brilliant things with the armor on the EX teleport with Spectral is that with the range on the blocked back 1, 2, he only gets hit by the first hit of that thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do back 1, 2, which you'll block, and then you'll go ahead and EXDP. Okay? Oh. Now, normally, if you could set it to the bot to actually do it on reversal, and it will work every single time. And even if they happen to mistime it, which they're waiting to try and armor out, you're sitting there being able to do that, which you could probably just go for a headbutt, or if you want to do an EX lift, if you wanted to burn the bar of meter. You could go ahead and test this out. It works against pretty much every single character. It works on Jax's EX Gotcha Grab, which is one of the faster armored specials. So that's going to add in a little bit of more mind games once you condition your opponent to understand that they can, in fact, armor out of his aerial attacks.
I remember you said you really sort of see Spectral being more of a rushdown variation, but I think that's a big part of rushdown characters, isn't it? Is once you kind of condition them to be scared of something, it opens up your offensive options, which you now get in Spectral because of those kind of, you know, the overheads from the hover, the low from the hover, and you know that's just a couple of options he gets there.
Right, and also for someone like me who likes to get a little bit more in depth, a little bit I guess cuter with my mix-ups, I could easily do something like this and go back into a low overhead if you're expecting all the overheads. So you could really get creative. I personally find this variation the most fun to play out of his three. I've been working on it a lot, and I'm going to keep working on it because I really do think there's a lot of extra stuff to be found. I had a kind of a breath of fresh air when I noticed that he had armor on his EX Teleport and EX Soul Blast. So for the stuff like that to not be mentioned, there's no telling what else we can all find with this variation. So I'm really looking forward to doing it. As far as Spectral goes, that does really cover it. I'm trying to see if I really forgot anything. That seems to be pretty much it.
I seem to cover a lot of the major changes, definitely, especially how the fact that the patch really did kind of affect Spectral the most of the variations. But I mean, that's really interesting, I think. I mean, honestly, I didn't really know much about Ermac, especially in Spectral. Like, you know, I was aware the patch changed a lot of him, but it was really useful to kind of sit down and kind of, I guess, pay attention to what these changes are, but more importantly, what they've done for the character. Do you reckon this is going to be a variation we might see in ESL? Do you reckon do you kind of feel confident using it yet, or do you reckon it will take a little bit more time to flesh out before you kind of think it's tournament ready?
I think it's going to take a little bit more time to flesh out, but I do plan on continuing to work on this. Obviously, as we have all seen, I have a little bit of difficulty timing it online a little bit, but I think with the right practice, it should be a lot easier in the long run. I do find this is a great variation, especially for those who are not familiar with this variation, because in a 2 out of 3 setting with all of its different options, it'll be very tough to figure everything out in time. But yes, I do plan on using this variation for ESL, granting I can keep working at it.
Okay, brilliant, awesome. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up. Before we finish up here, first of all, you know, massive thank you for taking part here. It's always good when people sort of take time out to join us for these, so thank you very much for doing that. Is there anywhere, in terms of like online, social media, Twitch, where people can find you and watch more of your Ermac?
Actually, yes, you can. You can follow my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/LTH_Big D. My team, EVB Gaming, they have their own personal Twitch channel that you can follow as well, which I stream on at twitch.tv/EVB_Gaming. You can follow me on Twitter at EVB_Big D, and that pretty much covers it.
Brilliant. Well, I'll add all those to the description of the video so people can find you there much easier. But that was it. That was Ermac's patch changes for the latest balance patch, obviously addressing one of the weaker variations. Huge thanks again, Big D. You know, we really appreciate sort of taking the time out to do this. I am Ketchup, joined by EVB Big D, with many more collaborations to come. But that's it. Make sure you like and subscribe, guys, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Take care.